Hey there everybody, we are here in Manchester for the Bespoke show, and in this video we're going to take a look at the really interesting bikes and bike adjacent accessories. So let's see what they got.
So this was inspired by a bike built by Paul Brodie on his YouTube channel. It's based on a giraffe bike, which was originally built in about 1890 something, 1895. It has this kind of direct line through the down tube and chainstays as its kind of main design feature. Obviously, it's semi-tall, like it puts you up a bit higher. It folds at the back. There's a pivot down here. The back folds around and bolts on here, so that it fits in the boot of my car. And you can take the fork out, and then it gets, smaller.
Tell me about the wheels. Where did those come from?
So these have been sitting around at home for ages, and I was really looking for the right bike.
Right.
They're not actually wooden.
Okay.
They are aluminium, coated. And talking to people here, actually, we're trying to find if anybody still does this, or anybody out there that still does this, let us know.
Yeah.
But it's a process that seems to have died out somehow. Like I think it's powder coated, maybe, but there's, talking to Velocity here, like they don't do it anymore. They don't know who can. Running kind of gravelly type thing, it will take up to about a 2-inch tyre if wanted. It's also made to take discs and derailleur gears. It's got a 3-speed Sturmey at the moment, which is nice and aesthetically nice with drum brakes. But I have built it to go touring on, like properly bikepacky touring. So with mini wraps and whatnot. Possibly not with the big horn. I think it's probably something more aerodynamically efficient.
So tell me about this rack. Why is it so long? Is there a piece of luggage that's built around it, or?
So it does two real things. Because the back folds, so it's got joints in there which could give it a little bit of flexibility at the back, and it's also quite long seat stays. So it's structural as well. So it braces across the seat stays, it braces from the seat stays to the frame to kind of triangulate all of that lot, as well as being a place to put a bag. So it can take a roll bag sort of up the back of the seat tube, a normal kind of carry style thing fits on there as well. But I'm personally quite a proponent of bikes that are quite tall. And without being stupidly tall, certainly in this country, if you tour or bike pack down lanes, you are between hedges and you can't see anything. So I think there is a genuine advantage of something that's a bit taller, because your view is much better. And I've built tall bikes for people, and we've been out riding together, and they say, I've never seen this view. I've ridden here all my life, and I've never seen the view before. So yeah, I think as well as infinite amount of bag space that you can carry more stuff if you want to. But yeah, so I think as well as looking a little odd, it has utility.
This is the new version of our Kite titanium frame set. So it's a completely new fork. Most notably with a 3D printed crown and dropouts, sort of airfoil section blade to it. So noticeably firmer ride and a little bit lighter overall than the previous segmented construction fork. Also some nice 3D printed rear dropouts, UDH hanger. So yeah, just nice and sleek looking, plus good compatibility. Otherwise, just a really nice all-round gravel bike. All external cables, everything very user serviceable, very friendly, but still trying to keep it nice and sleek package overall.
What's the geometry? Is it short in the rear or long in the rear?
I'd say it's kind of middling.
Like 430 or
45,
okay.
I think. But we have a lot of tire clearance in the rear, and a decent amount in the front. So we fit up to 700 by 55 front and rear. So yeah, you kind of need to have a decently length chainstay to fit that in. And plus, you fit up to like even a 48 or something with mud guards. So yeah, there's a lot of space back there. But yeah, also just trying to keep the ride handling nice. I don't think you need a super short back end on this kind of bike. It's nice to have a little bit of extra chainstay length, just more stable, holds its line better. It's not like you're looking for super snappy grip handling or single track handling. So yeah, I think the Geo works pretty well. It hasn't really, the geometry and the tubing selection hasn't changed from the previous version of this bike, and really the geometry is very similar to the kites that I've been making for the last 15 years. So yeah, I think that works pretty well. And
do the frame sets come with the stem, or is that extra?
The stem's separate. So yeah, we do the stems. We will soon have them in 4 different lengths, from 50 through to 110. all with the same 90mm stack height, so a bit of extra stack can help people get the bars up. This is an early one with the sort of slight negative rise on it. The production ones are all 90°, zero rise. Yeah.
Cool. So we're here with Sam from Stair Bikes. Can you tell us about this eye-catching pink bike?
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would you believe it glows under UV light?
Does it really?
Yeah, you can cycle it around your favorite club if
Wow,
you wish.
nice.
This is my bike. This is my kind of scratching my itch. We make lots of bikes at Stair. Lots of gravel bikes, lots of road bikes, a few mountain bikes, not so many. But to Bespoked this year, I wanted to bring something that I had made in my fashion, which is somewhat intuitive. Follow my nose. So this is a bike for transporting my daughter around. Okay. She stands on the frame standers on the back, hands on the shoulders,
Yeah.
And I can whap across the field and take her to school. It's a little bit of everything that we've done for the last kind of 15 years of Stayer. So there's like dropout parts that were on our first show bikes back in the day, and there's little sort of itches we wanted to scratch with the truss fork. There's some component parts on here that we've designed with our good friend Holstroy, our Danish designer friend. So he did yoke parts and also did the dropout design. Yeah, there's silly little bits like my Luddite fascination with being able to fit square taper cranks on a T47 bottom bracket. So
How did you do that? Did you make an adapter? Or?
Yeah. Well, Paul from Rideworks, who we've known for quite some years now. I convinced him to make a couple for us a few years ago. Yeah. Don't tell anybody though, because they're not for sale. Although if we convince him, they might be for sale. You never know.
Yeah. So tell me about the little gusset tube here. Is that just to make it a little bit more rigid?
It is to make it a little bit more rigid. This is supposed to be a front-loading bike, or at least have the capacity to front-load, so a big basket, or indeed whoever or whatever child or dog you might want to stick on the front. Bit of shopping. Also, it's a bit of a nod to one of my favourite mountain bikes in the show, which is the BTR.
So what are the handlebars?
The handlebars on a bike I had in London many years ago, an old Bob Jackson, were a beautiful set of porter bars that were amazing, and I loved them, but they were so narrow. And I would cycle around like this forever. And I've always wanted a wider set, so I thought I'd make a set that goes on here. Nice. A nice wide porter bar.
So we're here with Harry from WizardWorks. Tell us about the bags that you have on the bike here.
So we're showing a new collection that's coming out soon, limited edition. It's made with this super cool Challenge Ultra Grid recycled fabric. We're going to be doing a Teeny Houdini saddlebag, a new to us little triangle frame bag. There's going to be a barrel bag, and then we've also got a Shazam and some figwits for this bike here.
This bike looks pretty interesting. It looks like it fits the theme of the apocalypse. Can you tell us a little bit about the bike?
Yeah, so the bike belongs to a friend of ours, Marlon. Marlon runs a really cool community space in London called Baby London Bikes, where he builds sort of this kind of thing, you know, bit old, bit new, bit sort of bodged together, like modifications to frames. It's this super welcoming and inclusive space.
Cool. Yeah, I noticed that this was originally started its life as a rim brake bike, and he's brazed on some either new like rear bridge or just added that.
Yeah, so I think the rear end here was chopped off and put a new one on there, and then it's got the super cool Stridsland barnacle fork on the front.
Nice.
So discs front and rear, really nice high bars, just proper chilling.
I noticed a new kind of cool dangle in the back here. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this is Fungi. He's or she's or they are a nice little reflector you can add to your bike. So we've got one here. The cool thing is you get to choose your own face, so your reflector can have the personality that you'd like it to. So you've got alive eyes and dead eyes. You've got a combination of 3 different mouths, which all can be inverted. So you can be like super happy, super sad, a little bit happy, a little bit sad, a little bit cheeky. And yeah, so these are brand new, and they're made by us in-house, like all of our bags. So.
Cool. It's like Mr. Potato Head meets Bike Reflector.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
You guys had Mr. Potato Head in England.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, yeah.
Hey there, everyone. Do things seem bad and a little apocalyptic? Well, it's because it is. But don't you worry, you'll be pedaling long into the apocalypse with our sponsor, Brooks. Brooks makes durable, comfortable, and good-looking saddles and bags for now and the end times, which turns out is pretty close. So if you want to be prepared for the apocalypse, pick up a Brooks or 3.
A fat gravel bike is how we've built it around. So customer owns a collection of fat bikes already. He really likes the Q Factor, owns loads of sets of wheels, and so he wanted something more road gravel orientated.
Right.
And so this is the ultimate in kind of fat road bike, bike handling with fat bike wheels.
Yeah. It has kind of more street tires now, but what's the widest tire you can jam in there?
So you can jam in there you can fit a 4-inch 650B in there. Okay. So yeah, you can squeeze a massive tire in it.
What kind of weird design things did you have to overcome to accommodate such big tires?
Yeah, so it's a fully custom fork, 150mm front axle, obviously for the fat bike standard. Yeah. Building the fork on the fork jig was interesting, so I had to build a bit of an adaptation on the fork jig to build a fork this long and also this wide. Yeah. And then it was trying to find a way of matching the front to the rear, so you've got this kind of visual similarity. So trying to keep the same with the seat stays as well, and then similarly fitting 460mm, or I think they are 450mm chain stays on the jig. Involved, we were right at the limit of what the jig would take for that, but yeah.
It also seemed to be like the widest fenders I've ever seen. How wide are these?
These are 80mm Simworks fenders. So 80mm fenders is not something you see every day.
No, it's not. It's actually what caught my eye. I was like, man, those fenders are ginormous.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? But I think the thing I like about it, I was most pleased with, is from the side, it looks like a normal road bike, and then you look at it from the front, and you're like, those forks are enormous, those fenders are massive. It's got all this huge stuff on it, but it looks like it's in disguise.
So we're here with Johannes from Alonicus Frameworks. Can you tell us about this bike?
Yeah, so it's a 90s inspired mountain bike, but with 650B wheels, and just a little bit modern go to what's needed to cruise around town, taking shortcuts and stuff. That's also why it's called the side tracker.
Tell me about the handlebars. They seem like a really small diameter.
Yeah, so it's a custom bent handlebar by Strahlworks.
Okay.
And so you send him the specs and he bends them to your wishes. And also the stem is custom made just to accommodate that small clamping diameter.
Are they titanium or steel or?
Yeah, it's titanium.
Yeah. How do they feel? They look like they'd be super flexy and just fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So they do have a lot of comfort, but I'm also riding them on my endurance mountain bike, and they can also be very stiff depending on what kind of bend you want.
Any other interesting design details that you want to point out?
So there's actually a spare spoke holder.
Oh, okay.
There's a little brass pulley. The fork is custom built, and so the fork legs are open. You can access them with a little corkscrew, and you can actually just store spare stuff in there. Just screws on the other side of the cork, and and also the head badge. Yeah. And so this whole bike was a collaboration with Two Tired Cycles.
Tell me about the chain rings. They seem like a very tight double.
Yeah. So actually. It seems like it's a 3x, but it's a 2x with a granny, with a very small one, and the bigger one is just a bash guard actually. So that's the thought behind it.
So we're here with Pat from Colin Cycle Works. Tell me about this arrangement of bags you've got here.
So this is this is how I go bike packing, pretty much. Like as many bags as you can get on.
Well, tell me about the panniers. How do they work? Like, what's with the external zipper? Is that to access it, or is it just a?
So the external zipper is just like a little map pocket, just for put rubbish in there or whatever you need. Yeah. We went with Fidlock clasps because they just work and they're nice to clip.
Right.
And then fitting wise.
Any other bag you want to highlight?
There's this that I made the other day. It's slightly prototypey. I'm going to make it so it fits on this Caradice Bagman rack attachment, but it can be used front or rear, so all the roll top bags, they've all got a welded liner inside them that I weld myself. So everything's done in challenge sailcloth fabrics, and then I've just started using the ultra stretch on all the pockets to get, because I don't like mesh, and everything's pretty much fidlock fastenings where I can.
I know this is going to be hard to demonstrate, but talk us through what you made here.
So when I had a problem in BIPs, I wanted to keep the full cargo pants while having a pee friendly.
Okay.
So I actually made the pockets in the back.
Okay.
While being able to pee. So actually you would just open with a fidlock magnet here, and then 2 Velcros, and that would allow your butt to actually come out and pee. And so while not compromising, stuff in your pockets, so sometimes you have to take out your pockets down and everything falls out. So this was actually my idea. And here in the front I made some anatomical pattern making for better fit. And on the crotch area I actually made this part from mesh that would actually be more breathable than the actual fabric.
Pockets on the legs, and then there's also like pockets on the small of the back?
Yes, pockets, 2 pockets on legs and 2 pockets on the back, and with the bips. So like this, These are made from a woven fabric that is it has wool woven in, 30% of wool. And also it has like the air hold structure for better airflow.
Yeah, it looks like the material has almost like a waffle pattern to it. Like, what does that do?
It's kind of a ripstop with holes.
Oh, okay.
So the air would just breathe through, would go through very easily and dry better.
Cool. Okay, we're here with our friend Craig. Tell me about this bike.
So this is the Stayer ATB, or what we like to call our Stay TB.
Okay.
This is a fully brazed steel frame that we make in a very small workshop in Leytonstone in London, in East London. We released this last year, and we shared a few images of it and stuff, but we do have a batch of them pretty much ready to go on our website in the next month or so, hopefully.
Cool. So what wheel size is it built around, and what's the geo like?
So this is it's 27.5 wheels, 650B. We kind of homage to kind of a retro steel frame, or at least in my world, the retro steel frames that I love riding. Being a kind of a retro builder myself, as I have lots of kind of retro mountain bikes. The cranks themselves are from the shed. They're originally, I believe, off a Specialized. I think they're kind of a rock hopper cranks type things. I'm a big fan of DMR kind of pedals and grips as well, and I've got the new Def Grips 2s, which I really rate. Mm-hmm. This is one of the first Brooks saddles I've actually ridden myself as well, which I was very excited about getting hold of, and it's definitely a comfy ride.
Well, I dig the exposed kind of brazing material. Is that going to be in the production run, or is it going to be cleaned up and painted?
Yeah, so all our bikes actually come in our raw color, which is this one here. So you can see the kind of the art is the way I look at it. But you can, if you wanted to, and this is not just the Stay TV, this is all our bikes, you can opt to have it custom painted, and you can pretty much have it anything you wanted as well, so it's quite open to it.
Yeah. It's a stainless steel gravel bike, sort of long term, like maybe like 3-4 day kind of backpacking gravel bike. It's a mixture of Columbus XCR tubing along with some 15.5 stainless 3D printed parts. And for me, like, the whole printed parts, I know it's becoming really popular in the bicycle world right now, and for me, like, it just makes a lot of sense in so many different ways, and from a design point of view, you can kind of you can make so many aspects of it.
Yeah. So it looks like the head tube, at least up to the joints. It's okay.
Yeah. So we've got the head tube. We've got a printed seat cluster here with the little hidden pinch bolt, and the whole chainstays are printed as well. Really? Yeah. So, and this is a XCR tube here. It's just been blasted to match the printed parts. Yeah. The chainstays. I mean, it is a really big part to print, but actually, you know, that saved me like days in the workshop. That went together in probably 1 hour in the workshop. So normally, that manufacturing that part of the whole chainstay assembly with flat mounts and UDH dropout and internal cabling is like 3 days work. Right. And it's 3 days of tough wrestling in the workshop as well.
So did you print it in segments and then weld it together, or?
Yeah, that's really just the size of the print bed of the printers that kind of governs that. So yeah, there's a weld seam right in the middle, which you know, when you were modelling that in CAD, it seems like, you know, a fairly sort of stress-free place to have it. So it seemed, we've got a join in the middle. It's really kind of straightforward, and inside the chainstays there is fully housed cabling, so that was printed in as well. And I mean, again, for me to try and manufacture that and run fully internal cable housing, it's a lot of work. So this kind of really streamlines that, and hopefully, you know, I think long term it would be great to kind of bring the price of these frames down, and hopefully the most expensive thing about this is my time. So the less I can spend working on this and, you know, getting parts printed and stuff and integrating that into the frame, then you know, hopefully it will bring the cost of them down and make it more accessible. Because
it's Shan Stramash, which means brawl or ruckus. It's a steel frame made from Columbus life tubing. We've got the Cane Creek Invert 40 suspension fork on this model, and also the roll-off speed hub with the Gates belt drive. We do quite a lot of belt drive bicycles with the roll-off hub because they're durable. You get the big range and zero maintenance basically. This bike is our gravel bike with the drop bars. It comes with SRAM or GRX, Shimano GRX levers. It's got a lower BB height than our sort of other models. Mountain bike head tube and steeper seat angle for more gravel geometry. 50mm tyre clearance as well. Gives you a lot more options.
So I've seen a lot of roll-offs, but not many with drop bar shifters. How do you get the shifter and the hub to talk to each other?
So the secret is the Gebler box. If you there's a box on the side here.
Okay.
Just the conversion. You also have to make a change in the shifter. You take out the unit. Okay. Depending on whether it's a Shimano, if it's a Shimano shifter, we remove the indexing unit and replace it with another thing that allows the motion. Right. So one lever goes up and one goes down.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, every show bike I build it for myself, not for a client, because if I build a bike for myself, I can build the most me bike I want to build. What can I say? It's a mini Velo touring tandem, collapsible in 3 pieces. Yeah. My future Stoker is sitting opposite of us. We're planning to ride it on a bike trip in June from the Baltics back to Berlin with our 2 dogs. Right. We have been traveling with the dogs like before. Yeah. That's what it's made for. It might be the best or the most horrible bike trip ever. So we will find out. Yeah.
So I've noticed that you have a thing for like smaller wheels. Why is that?
I wouldn't necessarily say I have a thing for smaller wheels. In this case, I need to place 2 medium-large dogs on this bike. Oh, okay. So I want the center of gravity to be lower. Yeah. Like one dog is 20, one dog is 30 kilograms. It's quite some amount of living mass, so I didn't want it to be too high.
Are these mounts for front rack, or what are those for?
Yeah, exactly. This is the mounts for the front rack. I didn't bring the racks because I think it would like distract too much from the actual bike. Like for the show, the racks didn't make sense for me, but there will be like a very sturdy rack in the front and one in the rear. Yeah. We will see how it goes.
Yeah. Are these just for water bottle cages, or?
Yeah. It's my favorite stem I made so far. The most capable stem I made so far. And this is just water bottle mounts. Yeah. I mean, if there's like bags in the frame, I need to carry some water. So.
What drivetrain's on this bike?
It's a 3x3 hub. It's kind of a newish, I think, 2 years max hub on the market, made in Germany. It has 9 gears on a wide ratio. I do like bigger gear, how do you say, gear steps, gear jumps. Yeah. It's just like I don't have to shift 2 gears to get the one I want to. Right.
What's the suspension stem?
Or I see both.
Also, this is sponsored components made by Schulz. It's mainly e-bike. I would say mainly e-bike components for like urban bikes. Also made or designed in Germany. They have like adjustable stems, suspension seat posts. I think it's their most known product.
Yeah.
I think the front one is made for people up to 180 kilograms.
Okay.
It holds the frame together, so I wanted a strong seat post. Yeah. Also, I was looking for the longest seat post I can find to keep the bike ridiculously small. Yeah. And this was it, like 56 centimeters length.
Where does it, how?
It's going directly till here. Oh, wow. And there's a hard stop because this tube is like sleeved by this tube and it has the same outer diameter, so it's jammed into exactly my saddle height.
So we're here at the Garber booth. You might know them from some of the cool aftermarket products that they've, yeah, and they're super lightweight cassettes. But what do you have in your hand here?
Well, what I have here is a work in progress. We brought some derailleurs to showcase. We're currently working on our own stuff here. It's going to be electronic wireless shifting, programmable to work with any cassette in the world. Essentially, it can be 10 speed, 11 speed, 12, 13 speed. Classic CNC style, so machined parts, anodized. You can pick the color of these parts.
Awesome.
We have some good examples here that we can show.
This is still in prototype. Do you have any idea of like how far out it is?
Well, if everything goes well, it will be on sale early next year.
So we're here with Glenn from 8 Bikes. Tell me about this interesting build.
So this is a little bit of an experimental beach racer that we've built. It's based on a mountain bike frame and geometry. So a kind of cross-country race geometry, but with a longer stretched out gravel bike set up at the front end. And we've got a suspension fork on at the moment. We might be using a carbon fork depending on which race we're doing.
Right. So the front end looks pretty slack. What's a head tube angle?
That's a 69 head tube angle. So a kind of cross-country front end from the last few years, not quite as slack as a trail bike. And the rear centre is 435, so basically like a gravel bike rear end.
So you used a word that we don't typically have in the States, beach racer. What exactly is that, and why does one need suspension for it?
Yeah, so we've got a great beach race in the UK called Battle on the Beach in South Wales, and it's a mixture. It's kind of 50-50 between the beach, where you really want a gravel bike, and into the woods where you'd really prefer to have a mountain bike. So it's a really difficult setup. There's a few in Europe that are like that, but this autumn we're going to hit the beach racing scene really hard over there. Yeah. And we might mix in a carbon fork for that, depending on the race and depending on the conditions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's perfect for Battle on the Beach in the UK.
Yeah. So what does the slacker head tube angle get you that like a traditional gravel bike doesn't on the beach race?
It seems to make just the whole bike feel really planted. You're kind of you've got quite a lot of tyre in front of you, so it's like a mountain bike. It's making more secure decisions about like where you're travelling. Yeah. So if something starts to go wrong in the sand, you don't have to panic and quickly adjust stuff. You can actually steer it like almost like you're surfing.
Okay, that makes sense. Tell me about the paint. It looks super unique.
Yeah, we've got a cool setup on here. So the rear end is a kind of technique that was used a lot in the 80s, where they use a candle to get the carbon on the white paint and then lacquer over that before that gets moved around. And then on the front, it's a mixture of airbrushing, some inking and some stippling to create a really nice kind of real tree, marbly kind of effect.
It's my Deka, Medusa Deka. So I wanted to build something that is kind of suited to the type of riding that I do around here, which is, we don't really have gravel, but we've got a lot of very steep, rough bridleways. So I like having quite a short back end because I find that it just seems to stick to the ground a little bit better. Yeah. So yeah, I've got like this short back end with a raised chainstay to allow for the tyre clearance and the chainring clearance. Yeah. It still feels, even though it is such short back end, it still feels quite planted because the bottom bracket's really low. I've got like a 90mm bottom bracket drop on that, which kind of works okay with the little short cranks. I use 155s on it, so Yeah, they're pretty sweet. With this bike, I won some awards from it with it last year. I won People's Choice and Best Gravel Bike, and that kind of blew my mind a little bit because I've only been doing this for like 3 years and wasn't expecting anything. So,
Well, this is a cool construction. Can you tell us what's happening there?
Yeah. So I brazed on the drive side chainstay to allow that short end and the wider tyre and the chainring clearance. Yeah, it just sort of keeps everything tucked.
So is this sleeved and the tube goes through, or?
Yeah. So I've like I sleeved on a bit of stainless there, and just to give it a bit of extra wall thickness to brace to, just to. When I was doing my research, I was looking at like how the old E chainstay bikes from the 90s were like flexing and that kind of thing. So there's a few things that I thought about to make sure it was all going to be sort of stiff enough and I'm not going to twist around all over the place. So added a bit more material, seemed to make sense to me.
All right, we're here with Jorgen from Brooks. Tell us about this very classy looking escape vehicle.
The escape vehicle. So this is the monopole from Switzerland. They loaned it to us for the show. We put our Blue Lug saddle on it that we collabed with Blue Lug in Tokyo. Reflector for safety, because even in an apocalypse, got to be seen. And then we've got our tote bag on the front here, full of t-shirts and such, with all sorts of options to strap it down and just carry your hatchets.
So you were telling me that this was designed for your basket, but it also seems to work pretty well with any kind of front-loading cargo bike.
Definitely, yeah. We've got two different shapes of the tote bags. We've got the more long and tall and the more squat, and they fit the two different shaped baskets. But the way we've created the leather attachments on these tote bags, they can really be used in different variations, like on a rack, in a different basket, on like a pizza rack, as you wish. But they really fit perfectly in the baskets, of course.
Yeah.
The bike itself is new to me. The belt drive steering is the thing. I've also never really ridden a pinion.
Yeah.
But honestly, I've been blown away, like 100%. I was pretty primed. I convinced myself I was going to like it. And I rode it around and was like, yes, this bike is sick. I really like it.
Yeah, well, this color scheme and build is like, it's hard not to like.
Yeah, I agree. The pastel green. Yeah, no, I'm super into it. Yeah.
All right, so we're here with Stephen from Asteroid Bikes. Tell us about this interesting cargo bike you brought.
Okay, so this is a hub steer cargo bike, front loader, and the hub steering stops the inherent wobble that you get with front loaders. So if we do that, then we can get families moving away from rear loading cargo bikes, which also are wobbly. When the children grow up to about 10 years old, the weight behind on a rear loader is just too wobbly. So you might as well either have them riding on the front or you have them on the front. And it also means that rear loaders, you can put a dog on a front loader, like a Labrador or something like that.
The cables run on either side, and then what happens?
And then there's another thing that I can't tell you too much about, but this whole frame splits.
Yeah.
And it's got a carriage system that allows you the front, so you can load it without touching the steering. It will just, the two parts come together and then it just works. So we want to be, so when you split it, either for storage or for sending it overseas, you can take the front end. I travelled up from near Brighton. It took 4.5 hours by train last year. So I took this whole thing on public transport.
Oh, wow.
Last year, it took me 7 hours.
Yeah.
No one wants to do that. So having something like this just opens up, having a split frame opens up the transport abilities of cargo, something like a cargo bike.
It's like a classic sort of archetypal British cargo bike form. It's like a butcher's bike.
Right.
But I'm a vegan, so I call it a baker's bike. It's got, a great big front platform, but it's attached to the frame, so you're not like moving the weight. The front rack's removable, and although it's huge, it's like narrow enough to fit through a standard like domestic doorway.
Yeah.
The platform's made of Richlite, which is like recycled paper, sort of architectural cladding material, so it's totally waterproof, recycled, generally non-toxic. Hub gears, big kickstand, integrated dynamo lighting.
Yeah. Where does the front front rack separate?
It's got a kind of sleeved tube in here, so it's 2 bolts in there and 1 bolt there, and it just slides out.
Yeah. What's the geometry like in the front? Did you build it like load trail so it bounces out with the load, or?
No, it's pretty like mid trail actually, because the weight is on the frame. It's not that critical. In my experience, it sort of doesn't make much difference to the handling. Yeah, so it feels still quite like zippy because you're not like holding all of that weight on the wheel. You're not like lifting it up as it rises and falls as you turn.
Right.
Yeah.
So another cool detail that I spotted on Pi's bikes. Can you explain what this is and demo it?
This is a spring-loaded steering lock. So it's like a stainless pin on a keyway. So when you've got the bike on the kickstand and you're loading up the front rack, the bars always want to swing around. Yeah. But this allows the bars to move, and then you can line up the front wheel and lock it in.
Right. So it looks like a feature that you put on a couple of your bikes.
Yeah, I put them on bikes when they've got a kickstand and a big front rack. You know, because that's when it makes a big difference. If you don't have a kickstand, you don't really need it because you're going to be propping your bike against a wall anyway. Right. But it's one of those like quality of life features that makes a massive difference that like you don't get on sort of mass-produced bikes. You know, where they don't really think about racks as like an integrated part of the bike. Yeah. For me, like the racks are like, and being able to carry stuff is like the whole point. Right. Like, I think bikes without racks are a bit stupid.
Yeah, they're naked.
Yeah.